The Survivor 47 Final Four speak. Rachel Lamont, Sam Phelan, Sue Smay, and Teeny Chirchillo have survived the gauntlet that is Survivor 47. But there are still a few more hurdles to clear on tonight's season finale on CBS. That includes a Final Four fire-making competition that will determine the final three. Then, those final three will have to face off against a jury that has been mean-mugging them from the opposite side of Tribal Council all season long. But before any of that happens, the last four players standing must contend with something else entirely: our questions. Every season, Entertainment Weekly peppers the Survivor finalists with some exclusive queries about their journey so far to help give viewers a more complete picture of their time on the island heading into the finale. And now it is time for Rachel, Sam, Sue, and Teeny to give up the goods. What do they consider their best moves? What were their highest and lowest moments? And which person on the jury had the best shot at winning the game? Read on not just for answers, but key intel and insight heading into tonight's Survivor 47 finale. Also make sure to read our exclusive pre-finale interview with the jury. It's hard to not say my idol play that took Andy out at the final 6. Since I had learned everyone was gunning for me while spying the night before, I knew I wanted to play the idol with maximum effect since I wasn't able to get my original target out because Genevieve had won immunity. You saw how it all played out for me this past episode when I played possum and got everyone to discuss how I was a threat in front of the jury. But before all that happened, I still had some hope that perhaps I could save the idol at the next tribal. What you didn't see was how I leveraged Andy to ensure that I knew whether I had to play my idol that night. When I had told Andy about my block a vote, he abruptly told me I was his number one. I didn't believe this as I knew Teeny was his closest ally, but I was happy that he wanted to say it to me as I believed he would at least be loyal for the short term. Then Operation Italy happened. After losing Caroline, I went to work guilting the crap out of him for going out of his way to lie to my face just to immediately stab me in the back. He apologized and promised he was done lying to me, and I told him that I was blocking Sam's vote that night, and if he told me he was voting for Sam and then voted me out instead, I would ensure he never got Sue or my jury votes. Andy was aware that his margins were going to be tight if he got to the end, and he could not afford to lie to me and assume that risk. I was hoping that I could sway him to vote Sam with Sue and I, and then use the block a vote and save the idol for Final 5. He, of course, came to me and ultimately told me that he was voting for me, and that's when you see us chatting about his game. His attempt to bolster his perception and jury manage me ultimately led to me deciding to switch the vote because he was such a wild card compared to Sam, who I felt was a known entity. While my threat to Andy obviously didn't result in me being able to save the idol, I felt very at peace with the fact that I did everything I could and only played it because I knew I had to, and I'm proud of that. It has to be Operation Italy. I had pitched Genevieve the idea of creating a fake idol and trying to pull off a 3-2-2 vote to keep us both alive right after Kyle was voted out. We needed to recruit a third member, and Genevieve was pushing for it to be Teeny. We had been planting those seeds with Teeny for a while. Meanwhile, I really wanted to bring Andy in on the vote. He seemed most hungry for a big move, and I had the best working relationship with him of the Underdog 5. Genevieve apologized to Andy to reopen that door, and when I won the challenge, I was able to make sure I got my way by bringing Andy on reward with hopes of getting him to vote with us. Upon learning that Andy was wanting to make something happen, we got to work planning every intricate detail to make the heist a success. But on top of pulling it off and blindsiding the majority alliance, I felt like Operation Italy was a threefold win for my game and position. Because Andy was the flipper and claimed it all to be an accident, I held the power to throw him under the bus in front of me, a break glass in case of emergency option, if you will. I was able to control the narrative of what happened on that reward. The same thing goes for the fake idol with Genevieve. By making sure Genevieve had the idol, it all but guaranteed that she would be the primary target for the opposing alliance. Nobody wanted to risk leaving Genevieve in the game with an idol. Then, as you saw, I was able to expose the idol as fake at my own convenience to preserve my place in the game. Operation Italy not only gave me insulation, it gave me power to decide the fate of my co-conspirators. After the Caroline blindside, the next decision came down to voting out Andy or Sam. In my heart, I felt compelled to avenge Caroline. It wasn't an easy choice, especially since Rachel was adamant about targeting Sam. From the start, Sam and Genevieve had always been on the opposite side of the tribe, so at least I knew where they stood. Andy, however, had lied to my face 3 times and blindsided me each time. I couldn't see a path forward with someone so unpredictable, someone whose word I couldn't trust. Adding to that, after Andy pulled off Operation Italy, I knew the jury would have been incredibly impressed by his gameplay, making him an even bigger threat. I made it clear to Rachel that I wasn't budging. I was writing his name down. Ultimately, Rachel agreed to go with my choice, and we voted Andy out. Sweet revenge for sweet Caroline. I'd say the move I'm most proud of is getting Genevieve to admit that the idol was fake. It is representative of what I'm really most proud of, which can't necessarily be classified as a specific move. My social game. I developed special and intense relationships with everyone in the game. Mine with Genevieve was the most complex. You've all seen the turbulence of our dynamic and not much of the laughs, the way we talked as if we were siblings, the deep care we had for one another. When I came to her and asked if the idol was real, she told me the truth because our personal relationship took precedent in that moment. Sue and Rachel were too skeptical to write her name down until I told them to, and I told them to as a product of the information I learned in that conversation. Even though, of course, I did get all spun around about it, cut me some slack. At that point in the game, I was questioning if I was even really on Survivor, or just in an elaborate prank. I was still the one who convinced Sue and Rachel to vote Genevieve out that night instead of Sam.